The NBA playoffs begin tonight, or sort of. The NBA play-in begins tonight, and that's just as important. So we'll play Fact or Fiction with Chene and Marcus. Chene, if I said tonight is a must-win for the Warriors so they avoid OKC, is that fact or fiction?
That is straight up facts, Greeny, because running into OKC is like running into a defensive buzzsaw. But don't sleep on their offense as well. They outscored their opponents by 13 points per game, the greatest point differential we've ever seen. And all teams with something like that have won a title. So yes, on both ends, they're the worst team to see in the Western Conference.
Marcus, how worried are we about a Warriors team, particularly a little banged up Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry?
I think these guys know what they need to get to this game, right? I know they know exactly how much is at stake. I think both of those guys will be ready. Two tough guys that's ready to take on that.
You think they will play and they will play well?
Yes, sir.
All right, fair enough. Let's go to the next one. Marcus, this one is for you. If I said no team is going to challenge the Thunder in the West, is that fact or fiction?
I got to be fiction. I think it's multiple teams, right? I think the Clippers, I think Denver, I think the Warriors, I think they all can challenge the OKC. They've been a really good regular season team, but this is the playoffs. All that goes out the window.
And don't forget about the Los Angeles Lakers. I know you gave love to the Clippers, but the Lakers have two of the greatest playoff performers in basketball in history, in LeBron James and Luka Doncic. Can you imagine if the game or the series comes down to one or two possessions? The IQ that LeBron has, the just moxie that Luka has, those two are phenomenal. So I think that would be a good matchup as well. Lakers, what'd you say, Clippers? So
Nuggets.
Nuggets, yeah.
I was cheating by even asking the question. I know Marcus doesn't think OKC is coming out. Chene, I feel like for a while now we've been talking about the West like it was the West, the OKC Invitational. We'll get back to that as we go, but let's go to the last one. Chene, if I said the Knicks are going to lose to Detroit in round one, is that fact or fiction?
That's fiction. I'm just going to do that as a wellness check for you, Greeny. That's
okay.
Fiction. A lot of people are very high on the Pistons, which I am, and I do think that the Knicks are concerned because Cade Cunningham has had his way against them. 31 points, 8 assists, but more so, the Knicks have two superstars in Brunson and Towns, and I believe Towns is the separator, shooting 42% from three.
All right, Marcus, I just need you to know that, like, everyone who works in this room, all the people you see behind the cameras and everybody else are crazy Knicks fans.
I know it.
So they desperately want to hear this from you. Are the Knicks going to get out of this first round and at least get their crack at Boston?
I love New York, right? Let's just get that out the way. Okay. I think this will be a dogfight, but I think it's going to come down to home court advantage. Playing in New York, in the Garden, in the playoffs, as we spoke about, is tough. This is a young team. Detroit, I love what they've done during the regular season, but I don't know if they have enough to win this series.
Are the Knicks a team that can elevate? Like I don't know if there's a step. They had a very good season. They had because the Celtics and the Cavaliers have been so good, people have overlooked how good a year the Knicks had. But are they a team that has another gear they go to in the postseason like some of the others do?
Well, that's been the biggest question because they need to be rested to be able to have another gear. And I feel like we've started to see those criticisms come to fruition in the sense that players are having conversations with coaches and saying, hey, we need to be ready when it matters most. They have the capability to be able to make some noise. I think you're absolutely correct. With the Celtics and the Cavaliers, everyone has been sleeping on the Knicks, but the Knicks still have two of the best players in the Eastern Conference in Brunson and Cat, and I really think Cat can do some damage. He's had an all-NBA type of season this year, 24 points, 13 rebounds, and of course is really good from three.
Knicks in six? Knicks in 7?
6. I say Knicks in 6.
Okay,
I give you that.
I like that. Knicks in 6.
Knicks in 6. Anything that rhymes works with me. All right. You can see the table is set for a really busy morning. We're rolling on. Coming up, does Pittsburgh need a plan B at QB while waiting on Aaron? Giants, who hold the 3rd overall pick in the draft and who had a full contingent in attendance for Shedeur and Travis Hunter's pro day on April 4th. But they obviously want one last private look at Shedeur before the draft next Thursday, and he wants a little time with them. Again, Darlington will be with us in a minute. RC is rolling. Schwager, we start with you. What does this mean?
There's something to this. Look, they have already sent 13 different people, Greeny, to the pro day at Colorado, meaning there's a GM, obviously, but a coaching staff and the front office personnel. They went to many of his games in person. Joe Shane attended a Colorado practice in person. And I could tell you that this private workout is not just for show. They want to do the full due diligence on Shedeur Sanders. Is he possibly the 3rd overall pick where they're sitting at? Maybe. Does this also mean they can maybe trade back into the 1st round if they take his teammate Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter with the 3rd overall pick? I would say that's more likely. I'll mention this. They brought him in for a private workout and his top 30 visit. The Giants took him out to dinner, and he had that experience also. They are getting to know Shedeur Sanders far more than they are getting to know a lot of other prospects in this draft, and I don't take it lightly. And RC, I'm curious your thoughts. When this guy is wearing cleats that have a Giants logo at the bowl game all the way back in January. So there's something to this. What's it mean, 3 overall, or maybe them just interested in whether or not he drops? That could be a likely possibility as well. But the Giants are not wasting their time 9 days from the draft going and flying out to Boulder, Colorado.
All right, so that's a perfect setup for it. We've got Darlington ready to go. I'll get right to you, but we got Darlington's technology working here. That's the way, Jeff, it struck me when I heard this, it could mean one of two things. And I think it's sort of 50-50. One, the Giants are really seriously considering taking him at 3, which is the opposite of what we'd been led to believe for the last few weeks. Or 2, and maybe more likely, they're starting to get a sense that he may fall far enough that they could be thinking about drafting him sometime in the 20s if they trade up. Jeff, I'll give you the floor. What do we got?
Well, Greeny, I think this is probably a cliche to say, but every GM around the league does their due diligence on quarterbacks, oftentimes when they don't even have a chance to take a quarterback. The Giants sitting at 3 certainly with that opportunity. And by the way, there's a reason why we've been talking about Shedeur Sanders so much this offseason. He comes with so much intrigue, so much to get to know, so much to understand about him. And I think that that's part of the reason why the Giants are doing this. I personally would still be surprised, based on my conversation, if the Giants were to take him at 3rd overall. I'm a little bit with Schrager in the standpoint that I think that ultimately this could be potentially move up, because as has been made clear to me, the Giants acquiring 2 veteran quarterbacks, one of which is Russell Wilson this offseason, is so that they have the flexibility to not have to draft a quarterback at 3rd overall. They like the spot that they're in right now. Quite frankly, getting to know Sanders does not mean they're taking him 3rd overall.
All right, so that is how the table is set. RC, what do you think?
I don't need to get to know you this well if I want to move back up into the 1st round. I need to get to know you this well if I want to draft you 3rd overall. If the last quarterback I drafted in the top 10 ended up being a bust and is no longer on the team, if my job depends on how well we do this season or how well or how much I can show you from a young developing quarterback, then that's why I want to get to know you this well. I don't think I need to know you more than I've gotten to know you. We heard Peter Schrager say we had people at games. They had 13 people in contingent. He went to out to damn dinner. He's been there for meetings. He had a top 30 visit. I don't need to go back and really check and dot more I's and cross more T's if I'm going to move back up into the 1st round. But if I'm going to draft you 3rd overall, if I'm going to pass up on an Abdul Carter or a Travis Hunter, if they're there at 3, 2 people that we feel like are can't miss positional players to draft a quarterback, that's why I need to get to know you. That's why I need some intimacy. That's why I need to know what type of human you are, what type of leader you are. That's why I need to see a little bit more than what I saw at Pro Day in your controlled environment. And so for me, this is about number 3. This is about drafting the guy top 3, drafting the guy 3 overall, because I want to be absolutely sure that as I stake my job on you, you're the guy I need to pick.
I kind of feel the same way, but it just flies in the face of everything that we've been told. Jeff, you look ready to dive in. Go.
Sometimes general managers will do this because they want to make sure that they should pass on a guy. Like the Giants might be sitting here saying, we're not taking Sanders at 3. Are we sure that is the right play? So sometimes it's not about getting to know a guy so you take him. Sometimes it's about getting to know a guy so you don't.
Ooh, the plot thickens. Go ahead,
Which
RC.
is fine. Which is fine, though. And that's fine. But what I'm telling you is it's about the 3rd pick. This isn't about something down the line. This isn't about a maybe. This isn't about, okay, I don't know if something happens if they pass on him. This is about that pick because that pick is that important. And you're right, Jeff. You can't be wrong if you're the New York Giants. If your mind is saying we're not going to draft him, you can't be wrong about that either, because Joe Shane or Brian Daboll could be out of a job if Russell or Jameis doesn't do the job this year. And if Shedeur is picked at 9 and becomes the rookie of the year, that's a mistake that this group of individuals cannot afford.
Something worth noting when we're talking about the Giants here. They also met with Abdul Carter very recently, and I think one of the cardinal sins of that organization is not drafting Micah Parsons a couple of years ago out of Penn State, who was a chess piece on defense, and they decided to trade back, and then they end up getting Kadarius Toney, and it's a nightmare if you look back on it now. I think this organization, if Abdul Carter's sitting there at 3, I think it would have to be a real leap of faith, and they would have to love Shedeur Sanders to take him over Abdul Carter this go-around.
All right, so that actually makes a lot of sense. Abdul Carter, for those who haven't followed it closely, no, I mean, it's impossible to say anyone is going to be the next Micah Parsons, but boy, if you're looking for someone who checks all of the obvious boxes, including coming from the same college and wearing the same number, he's got all of those things going for him. Final word on it for the moment, RC, and we'll get back to it with much more. But do you believe the Giants should take him at 3?
You know what? I'm going to be honest. I don't know. And it's not about whether or not Shedeur Sanders is a very good player. It's not about whether or not the Giants can win with him. It's about what they feel about Shedeur Sanders. You are doing your due diligence because you need to be in love with him to use the 3rd overall pick to pick a quarterback. And so for me, it's, does he make you better this year, or is he your franchise quarterback for the next decade and a half? And if you can't answer that question with a resounding yes, then my answer to that question is absolutely not. He is a forever pick. He is not a guy that you can swing and miss on.
100% right. All right, you guys stay right where you are. We have much more on the NFL as we go. But